In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. But then God made man. Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful. And so they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, "My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, "I will destroy man, whom I have created, from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping thing, and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them." Man, once again, became more evil than ever, so that many years later, God opened the eyes of a man named John, known as John the Revelator. And he showed John many signs, wonders, and tragedies that would someday befall the earth. Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to the earth. To him was given the key to the bottomless pit, and he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit. Hi, it's Lynn Liaz, and just as my introduction states, from beginning to end, from Genesis to Revelation, in the beginning, God created everything and the human race through Adam and Eve. But then, as we know, Adam and Eve sinned against God, and that's where all the trouble started. Now, many years after creation, God actually regretted creating mankind because the world had become so corrupt and so evil because of the fallen angels and the Nephilim and the things that they were doing. It just became horribly evil. And so God destroyed everything by way of flood, save for Noah and his family on the ark. But then after Noah and his family on the ark found dry land, and the race of humanity was once again started through their family, sin seeped back in. And that is because Satan and the kingdom of hell was not destroyed during the flood, because they were demonic spirits at that point. And they seeped back in and infiltrated the human bloodline once again through spiritual means. Okay, so then God, used John the Revelator way later, many years later, and gave him visions of things that would be coming upon the earth. Now, we know in the book of Revelation, there are references to a coming asteroid. Now, asteroids right now are huge in relation to many articles. They're getting a lot of attention, and an asteroid prophecy to do with an asteroid hitting the earth in September and so forth. We have had a lot of close calls in the past few years. In fact, we know that I think it was back in 2012 or 13. I don't have it in front of me right now. The big impact they had over in Russia. So it does happen. It's happened for many, many, many years. We have evidence of asteroids hitting the Earth. We have huge craters left by them. So it is something that has happened and will happen again. And we know in Bible prophecy, it does happen in the end times. And for those of us who are paying attention, we are in the end times. So this is a huge possibility. So this article you see here on the screen, Why the Asteroid Threat Should Be Taken Seriously, is written by a secular person. I'm going to show you what the secular scientists and people are saying, as well as the Christians, and it does coincide. Now, this particular gentleman does a fantastic job in his research, but he does come at it from a humanist, atheist perspective. He is not a Christian. I do not agree with his theology and so forth, but I want to show you what the world is saying and what the Christians are saying. So we're going to take a look at both of those types of articles. Now, just to give you some background, this is an article from National Geographic. Unfortunately, it does not list the latest occurrences, but it goes back millions and billions of years ago. We're going to look at how the Earth has been impacted in times past by asteroids. Okay, we have one here called the Vredefort crater, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. I didn't look it up first to see how to pronounce it. But it says that it was estimated it hit 2 billion years ago in Free State, South Africa, and it was 118 miles big as far as the radius. It is owned right now by UNESCO World Heritage, which is the United Nations. Go figure. Sudbury Basin, estimated 1.8 billion years ago, Ontario, Canada. 81 miles. The Acraman crater, 580 million years ago, South Australia, Australia. 56 miles. Woodley crater, 364 million years ago, Western Australia, Australia. And it says it is from 25 to 75 miles. That's the diameter. Manicouagan crater, 215 million years ago, Quebec, Canada. It is estimated at a diameter of 62 miles or 100 kilometers. Moroquing crater, 145 million years ago, northwest South Africa. And it does not give the size. It says it contained fossilized remains of the meteorite that created it. Kara crater, estimated 70.3 million years ago, and that is in Russia. It does not give the size. Okay, the Chicxulub crater, 65 million years ago, Yucatan, Mexico. It says 170 to 300 kilometers or 186 miles. That's huge. And the Papagaii crater, and I know I'm killing these names, folks. I'm sorry. I did not look these up to see the pronunciation. And that is in Siberia, Russia. And the Chesapeake Bay crater, 35 million years ago. And that is in United States in Virginia. And it is 125 miles from Washington, D.C. So some estimates suggest this crater is 53 miles wide. So that's huge. Okay, so this is something that has happened throughout time. Okay, it will continue to happen. Okay, it's not just never going to happen. And once again, according to Bible prophecy, we know it will happen again. Now I'm on NASA, and I'm going to show you what the difference is between an asteroid, a comet, a meteor, and a meteorite. An asteroid is a relatively small, inactive, rocky body orbiting the sun. A comet is a relatively small, at times active object whose ices can vaporize in sunlight, forming an atmosphere or coma of dust and gas, and sometimes a tail of dust and or gas. A meteoroid is a small particles from a comet or asteroid orbiting the sun. Meteor, the light phenomena which results when a meteoroid enters the Earth's atmosphere and vaporizes a shooting star. Meteorite, a meteoroid that survives its passage through the Earth's atmosphere and lands upon the Earth's surface. Size and frequency. Every day, Earth is bombarded with more than 100 tons of dust and sand-sized particles. About once a year, an automobile-sized asteroid hits Earth's atmosphere. That's once a year. And it creates an impressive fireball and burns up before reaching the surface. Every 2,000 years or so, a meteoroid the size of a football field hits Earth and causes significant damage to the area. Only once every few million years, an object large enough to threaten Earth's civilization comes along. Impact craters on Earth, the moon, and other planetary bodies are evidence of these occurrences. So it's not just on Earth, but on other heavenly bodies too, that they have evidence of such impacts. Space rocks smaller than about 25 meters, or that's 82 feet, will most likely burn up as they enter the Earth's atmosphere and cause little or no damage. If a rocky meteoroid larger than 25 meters but smaller than 1 kilometer, that's a little more than a half a mile, were to hit Earth, it would likely cause local damage to the impact area. We believe anything larger than 1 to 2 kilometers, 1 kilometer is a little more than half a mile, could have worldwide effects. At 5.4 kilometers in diameter, the largest known potentially hazardous asteroid is Catastrophe. By comparison, asteroids that populate the main asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter and pose no threat to Earth can be as big as 940 kilometers. That's 583 miles across. Now here is some more factual information about asteroids. It says this small size of asteroid is very difficult to detect. It says the meteor crater in Arizona, measuring about 1 kilometer in diameter, was caused by a nickel iron rock only about 30 meters across, which isn't all that much larger than for the largest of the bodies we've seen over the past few decades. That's a very small asteroid, which we couldn't see from telescopes on Earth's surface until it's right above the Earth, when it's much too late to do anything but duck for cover. Okay, so they've got this asteroid watch program, and basically if it's something small asteroids can do a lot of damage. We're not going to be able to do anything because we're not going to know about it till it's right there, okay? The reason why the asteroid penetrated the atmosphere and hit Arizona is because it was a nickel iron asteroid, not a volatile rich asteroid, and it came almost straight down rather than near a grazing angle. This small size of asteroid is very difficult to detect. At the other end of the spectrum are the 1 kilometer asteroids. That kind of impact would wipe out life within proximity of the impact site. However, more serious is how it would affect the whole world in indirect ways. So even a small one that could wipe out life just in that area where it impacts would affect the world in indirect ways. The dust and or vapor cloud created by an impact to either the land or the ocean could be big enough to create a nuclear winter like a mini ice age and disrupt climatological wind patterns, adversely affecting major food growing regions of the world, thus straining world food supplies, prices, governments, and civilizations. However, such an impact is quite unlikely over the next 1,000 years, at least. Okay, well, this person obviously doesn't pay attention to the Bible, but does that not sound to you like what the Bible mentions in relation to the tribulation period right there? Climatological wind, a nuclear winter, mini ice age, adversely affecting major food growing regions of the world, straining world food supplies, prices, governments, and civilization. Okay. The most damaging kind of impact would be an asteroid that hits the ocean, not the land. Okay, now we've got this thing about the tsunami, the asteroid prophecy with the tsunami. An asteroid hitting land causes mainly localized damage. An asteroid hitting the ocean can cause a tsunami, or a huge wave, that would inflict catastrophic damage to coastal cities and assets to great distances. The Earth is covered 70% by oceans, so an ocean impact is more likely. Okay, so we need to be more concerned if one hits the ocean in a place that can cause a tsunami on the land. Earth's atmosphere gives protection against the vast majority of small asteroids which hit. Asteroids hit the atmosphere at typical speeds in excess of 10 kilometers seconds, an average of about 20 kilometers or seconds for asteroids whose entire orbits reside within the inner solar system, with exact relative speed depending upon their angle of approach and with speeds over 50 kilometers/seconds, common for small cometary objects making a pass from the outer solar system. At this speed, they usually break up due to severe shock pressures and burn up due to friction with the atmosphere. Think about it. 10 kilometers per second, that's 6 miles per second, is awfully fast. About 36,000 kilometers or 22,000 miles per hour. Think about how fast that is and the impact it would have hitting the earth, whether it be the ocean or the land, at that speed. That's huge. So moving down here, it says the exact damage inflicted by an asteroid or comet depends upon a number of factors: size, speed, composition of the object, and whether it hits land or ocean. For a land impact, it can be said in general that an object of roughly 75 meters in diameter can destroy a city. A 160-meter object can destroy a large urban area. A 350-meter object can destroy a small state. And a 700-meter object can destroy a small city, or excuse me, a small country. So when you hear about these things that we're going to have a flyby and it's going to be close, and they list the size and how far away it is, you need to remember some of these facts about the speed in which it's traveling, the size, and so forth. And it says for an ocean impact, the destruction is much greater. Smaller objects can cause far more widespread damage. So even a smaller asteroid impact, if it hits the ocean, can cause damage that goes out further, okay? Instead of being more localized, it reaches out further around where it hits. The effects of an ocean impact are felt much further away than the effects of an airburst due to the more effective propagation of water waves and the fact that human populations and assets are largely concentrated in coastal cities, which historically became established due to water transport for shipping and trade and business near ports. For example, the earthquake-induced tsunami in Chile in 1960 produced waves in Hawaii 10,600 kilometers away of height up to over 10 meters or 30 feet, and up to 5 meters or 15 feet in Japan, 17,000 kilometers away with an average of 2 meters, causing heavy damages and loss of lives. So there's some examples for you. But what happens with a tsunami is that when a deep water wave of, say, 1/3 of a meter hits a continental shelf, its speed decreases, but its weight conversely rises. For example, the tsunami from the 1960 Chile earthquake created a deep water wave of only 20 centimeters or 8 inches above sea level, but when it hit the shore, it had risen to a height, an average of 10 times its ocean size. That's over 2 meters or 6 feet, and in some places much higher. However, the size varies depending upon the coastal features and was higher in many places. Understand this is not just a narrow, surfable wave that dies down when it approaches the shore, but is a wide body of water that grows into a wall that smashes into the land. When the wave hits the shallow coast, it slows down, and the water of the deep ocean wave behind it piles up on top to form a wall of water. Okay, so you have a greater idea now of what could happen in the event that an asteroid hits, no matter where it hits or how big or how small the asteroid is. And the description here sounds very much so like what is described in the book of Revelation. Okay, here's an article from a Bible Christian type news site. It says another asteroid near miss, but the Bible predicts major asteroid impact soon. As asteroid 2008 QE2 reminded us once again, objects orbiting close to Earth are a constant threat. Although this concerns scientists, Christians probably fear missing the rapture and facing the Antichrist a lot more than a deep impact scenario if they only realize that there is an explicit prophecy of an asteroid impact on Earth before the rapture and Great Tribulation even happens. They might reconsider. Find out where this prophecy is found, how the Bible indicates it happens, and where the righteous will be protected while it happens. So I'm not going to get into all that, but I just want to show you what they're saying about asteroids, okay? What is the real threat to Earth? If you asked a Christian what global threat they fear most, typically they would say the Antichrist, the mark of the beast, the Great Tribulation, or some other major aspect of end-time Bible prophecy. Normally, they would not answer that they fear an asteroid impact on Earth in their lifetime, such as the sci-fi film Armageddon depicted. These days, they might give a different answer. 3 months after a meteor exploded into pieces above Russia, injuring 1,500 people, another space rock threatened Earth on the last day of May 2013. A potentially hazardous 1.7-mile-wide rock named asteroid 2008 QE2 passed within 3.6 million miles of Earth. That may sound far, but it's only 15 times further out than the moon is. Speaking of which, days before it passed, it was discovered that coming along with it is its own moon, if you can call it that. It's only 2,000 feet wide. Do you remember hearing about that one? This asteroid, and it had its own moon? That's crazy. Okay, holes in the asteroid defense plan. While no one was really worried about this one, it does raise the issue once again of how vulnerable Earth and our civilization is to ballistic threats from space. All it takes is a rock 150 yards or 140 meters wide to devastate a large city. While asteroids that size only have a 1 in 20,000 chance of hitting the Earth in any given year, the threat is serious enough that we have started a concentrated effort to track all objects that size and larger. Unfortunately, only 10% of the estimated 13,000 to 20,000 city-leveling asteroids have been detected. Worse, at the current rate, it will take until 2030 before we reach the more comforting level of 90% discovery. 2030, I don't see us really being around by 2030. Maybe some of you do. I personally do not. It says, but even if we had 100% tracking of threatening near-Earth objects today, there's still a problem. According to John Holdren, science advisor to President Barack Obama, we would need 5 years advance warning in order to prepare and execute a plan to try to neutralize a collision threat. 5 years. This would be attempted through various possible means, including nuking it, Bruce Willis style. When Space Agency Chief Charles Bolden was asked what would NASA do if a large asteroid was discovered to be on a collision course with Earth 3 weeks before impact, his answer was not comforting. He said, the answer to you is, if it is coming in 3 weeks, pray. Obviously, that's not very comforting news. Okay, so, even with this near-Earth object program that they're doing, how is it really going to help us? And what if it's one of those smaller ones that's not detected till the last minute? Okay, he's saying just to basically pray, because it basically takes 5 years. So Revelation 8 through 9 talks about an asteroid. It says, the second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain ablaze with fire was hurled into the sea. So a third of the sea became blood, a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. That's an obvious asteroid impact. Here's something. It says the biblical description here is uncommonly accessible. Asteroids are actually compared to mountains in space. And the Bible refers to it as a great mountain ablaze with fire. So they are actually compared to mountains in space by astronomers, obviously not literal mountains, hence the something like qualifier is perfect. So the Bible saying something like a great mountain is absolutely perfect because astronomers call it mountains in space. Further, as they pass through the atmosphere prior to impact, they light up, not from friction, but from ram pressure, compression of the air in front of the body. This creates the blazing fire described in the prophecy. Okay, so let's read that again. We know that astronomers refer to asteroids as mountains in space. The Bible says something like a great mountain. Then it says ablaze with fire. Okay, well, asteroids, when they enter the atmosphere or pass through the atmosphere prior to impact, they light up, okay, on fire. Since most of the Earth's surface is ocean, the most likely place for an impact, like what is described in Bible prophecy, is the ocean, just as described. Most everyone knows these days what certainly must follow that. Tsunamis or tidal waves would radiate out from there, destroying the ships. How do the fish die? The burning asteroid will boil and dirty the water at splashdown, leading to mass deaths of sea life. By the way, some point out that since it does not say where the mountain is thrown into the sea from, it is indeterminate whether it came from space. An alternative proposal is that underwater volcanoes may be responsible for throwing up a mountain. Volcanoes are an interesting idea since they explode with pyroclastic flows, which is a hot avalanche of rock, ash, and gas, and pyroclastic surges, a cloud of volcanic ash and hot gases exceeding 100 kilometers per hour. However, neither of these volcanic expulsions could be described as like a mountain being hurled, nor is there record of a volcano ever throwing an entire mountain up into the air. How would it stay together from the explosion, and how would it be burning since it is only a dislodged mountain? So that one doesn't really have anything to support it. Okay, so this is there's your biblical perspective on it. Okay, so now we're on an article called Tribulation Judgment Coming in the Form of an Asteroid. This particular author of the article, Paula Garrett, Toledo Biblical Prophecy Examiner, it says all the disasters that were mentioned in the book of Revelation can be summed up into one major event. An asteroid has the power to create all those scenarios mentioned in the Bible and more. The book of Revelation seems to be pointing to several asteroid-related events that are soon to come. The trumpet judgments in themselves seem to be pointing to a series of asteroids that will be used to bring about God's judgment upon the earth during the hour of tribulation. The trumpet judgments in Revelation starts with hail and fire mingled with blood being thrown to the earth, burning up 1/3 of the trees, and all the green grass was burned up, which suggests that a series of smaller asteroids will be striking the earth. Next, a huge asteroid in the form of a great mountain burning with fire is cast into the sea, which we just discussed, making the water poisonous, killing 1/3 of the animals in the sea and 1/3 of mankind who drink from it. The third trumpet suggests that more asteroids will come down upon all the other bodies of water, rivers, and streams. The fourth angel sounded, and 1/3 of the sun was hit, 1/3 of the moon, and 1/3 of the stars, causing the sun to darken and the moon to turn to blood, most likely from an asteroid hit. Then, when the fifth angel sounded, a huge asteroid falls to the earth, creating a great crater, which serves to open the bottomless pit and the gates of hell. Then, when the fifth angel sounded, a huge asteroid falls to the earth, creating a great crater, which serves to open the bottomless pit and the gates of hell, which will give the demons free reign upon the earth. Verse 6 says, in those days they will seek death and will not find it, suggesting that the gates of hell have opened. It will literally be a living hell on earth. She quotes some scripture here, Revelation 12:9. It talks about Satan and his angels being cast down, which could very well relate to asteroid strikes during the time of the rapture. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Revelation 12:4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars from heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. This is another suggestion that asteroids or meteor strikes will herald in the rapture of the church. Revelation 5:12 is the sixth seal, which further suggests an asteroid strike and the direct effects of such a strike. And I beheld when he opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell onto the earth. Stars, plural. That would seem to indicate multiple asteroids. Even as a fig tree casteth off her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. All of these prophecy verses are suggesting that these stars falling from the heavens are asteroid strikes that take place at the same time as the rapture of the church. in direct relationship to Satan and his army being thrown out of heaven and the start of the tribulation period. The asteroids are a physical manifestation of the spiritual battle taking place in the heavens of Satan's army being cast down, but it will have a devastating effect upon the earth and will serve to bring about the judgment of God during the hour of tribulation. An asteroid or a series of asteroids has the power to make all the prophecy mentioned in the book of Revelation come to pass. Now, here's the thing. Whether it happens, some people think this asteroid thing is going to happen this year or it could happen next year. Either way, when this happens, this is going to start the tribulation period, and we are right there. 1908, a tiny asteroid only 30 to 60 meters across exploded 3 miles above a forest in Tunguska. The impact is that it flattened the forest below 18 miles from the center of the explosive force. A shockwave 120 miles away, workers were thrown off roofs, store shelves were emptied, and windows were blown out. Witnesses reported seeing a mushroom cloud in where the asteroid exploded and a hot wind. Large seismic vibrations were recorded as much as 600 miles away. So an asteroid impact could not only cause tsunamis, but earthquakes. An asteroid impact, depending upon the size, has the power to create massive firestorms just from the heat alone. The hot winds and temperatures reaching up to 9,000 degrees can melt buildings and trees, blow them down flat in its path, setting everything on fire. Entire cities could be reduced to burning heaps of rubble. Wasn't there prophecies about America will burn, America being on fire? And there was one particular gentleman, oh geez, I can't think of his name, the little man who didn't speak English and he had the interpreter. I do not know why I can't think of his name right now, but he came to America back in the 80s with a prophecy that someday America would burn. Well, could happen this way. So let's see, where were we at? Okay, it says an asteroid impact, depending on the size, has the power to create massive firestorms just from the heat alone. The hot winds and temperatures reaching up to 9,000 degrees can melt buildings and trees, blow them down flat in its path, setting everything on fire. Entire cities could be reduced to burning heaps of rubble. Shock waves from impact going through the ground could cause massive earthquakes, setting off fault zones and volcanoes along its path. Yellowstone, along with many other volcanoes, would most likely erupt. Ash and rubble from everything burning and volcanoes erupting could throw this earth into darkness, blocking out the sun. This is the effect of an asteroid hitting the land. So everything it talks about in the book of Revelation to do with all this destruction seems to indicate a major asteroid strike, or it could be multiple asteroid strikes. Earthquakes, tsunamis, darkness, fire, all of that stuff, okay? So pay attention to that. If the asteroid should hit the water, however, it would cause a shock wave and multiple tsunamis to affect coastal regions worldwide. Massive casualties along coastal cities would be expected, as 1,000-foot waves could hit the coastlines and put entire cities underwater. Several people, actually many people at this point, have had dreams and visions from the Lord about an asteroid striking the ocean just outside of Puerto Rico. In fact, within the past 2 years, Russia has been putting out warnings about an asteroid strike hitting the east coast of the United States. Did you know about that? Within that same time frame, nearly 2 years ago, the U.S. started doing drills and sending resources to the East Coast Delaware region of the U.S., sending emergency kits to schools and vaccine supplies. FEMA and the U.S. military, including Russians, had been performing drills in that region. The U.S. had also been stocking up on body bags, coffins, emergency food, water, medications, guns, bulletproof checkpoint booths, and hollow point bullets that were delivered to all the government offices around the nation. Also in Puerto Rico, a nurse at a local hospital alarmingly reported that they had been recently receiving a number of body bags and emergency supplies. Military supplies and coffin liners were also reportedly being stocked up in that region. Now, at the same time, if you all remember this, Homeland Secretary Janet Napolitano stepped down, but not before she gave a warning that a natural disaster was coming to the United States. Now, at the same time, Homeland Secretary Janet Napolitano stepped down, but not before she gave a warning that a natural disaster was coming to the United States. Do you remember that? Scientists are saying that it would only take an asteroid about 200 meters wide or 600 feet to land into the ocean to cause devastating coastal tsunamis. But the one that is coming tomorrow is expected to be around 3,200 feet wide. Now, this article was written in January of this year, by the way. Will this asteroid have an effect on the Earth, or will we once again dodge the bullet? Will it be a warning for bigger, more devastating things to come? Yes, I agree with that one. Will it be a warning for bigger, more devastating things to come? God is definitely sending us signs in the heavens. We have all of these close calls. He's warning us. An asteroid doesn't necessarily have to strike the Earth in order to cause an impact. Okay, so that's enough of that article there. Now I want to show you some more. We are now on this article here, why the asteroid threat should be taken seriously. Okay, it says it commenced with a press conference streamed onto the internet featuring a rock star, a filmmaker, and a cosmologist. On December 3rd of 2014 at the Science Museum in London, Brian May, astrophysicist and Queen founder and guitarist, Gregor Richter's, producer and director of the film 51 Degrees North, and Lord Martin Rees, Astronomer Royal of England, made an announcement. They asked for global participation in Asteroid Day, an event to be held June 30th, 2015, the 107th anniversary of the Tunguska event, an explosion caused by an incoming asteroid or comet that flattened out more than 2,000 square kilometers of forest along the Tunguska River in central Siberia. Asteroid Day is thus intended to raise awareness over the threat from Earth-crossing asteroids. They read a declaration about the danger our planet faces from impacts by small solar system bodies, a document signed by 100 important scientists, astronaut explorers, entrepreneurs, and celebrities. They described activities that will take place next June to further raise awareness. So does anybody find it strange that now they are really looking into this Asteroid Day event, raising asteroid awareness, but we don't have anything to worry about? Okay, according to them. But I happen to believe we do, because we know what the Bible tells us. We know that we're in the end times. And then you can look at the signs and the symptoms that are taking place on the earth today, including what I just read to you in the article about FEMA and body bags and so forth. And Russia, what Russia said. And all of these things, just put it all together. Okay, we've got signs and symptoms that something big is going to happen. Okay, now this article is very, very long, okay? Now this guy sat in on this big meeting, and he talked to the big wigs that were at it, the guy who wrote this article. It says, as the mission of Asteroid Day moved toward producing educational content and fleshing out plans for the summer of 2015, reactions to the announcement and the subsequent publicity began trickling in from the community of astronomy enthusiasts. Strangely, I found the topic to be more polarizing than logic would have dictated. Massive support rolled in from many who love watching and studying the night skies. After all, protecting the planet from impact is a good thing. Now he writes, the question arises then, what exactly is our current best knowledge about the real danger of future impacts? To help answer this, I consulted a number of planetary scientists and read volumes of papers from others. Gradually, a clear picture of reality began to crystallize. Really quick, let me take you over to the Asteroid Day homepage. It is www.asteroidday.com or .org. Sorry, that's www.asteroidday.org. Okay, this is a whole website dedicated to what is Asteroid Day. It's a global awareness movement where people from around the world come together to Learn about asteroids and what we can do to protect our planet, our families, communities, and future generations. Asteroid Day will be held on the anniversary of the 1908 Siberian Tunguska event, the largest asteroid impact on Earth in recent history. You can join today. Scroll below and become a member. The Asteroid Day Declaration was signed by astronauts, scientists, Nobel laureates, technologist, and artists. Click here to view it. So let's click there. So this is what the Asteroid Day of Declaration looks like. It says the Asteroid Day Declaration is as follows. As scientists and citizens, we strive to solve humanity's greatest challenges to safeguard our families and quality of life on Earth in the future. Asteroids impact Earth. Such events without intervention will cause great harm to our societies, communities, and families around the globe. Unlike other natural disasters, we know how to prevent asteroid impacts. There are 1 million asteroids in our solar system that have the potential to strike Earth and destroy a city. Yet we have discovered less than 10,000, just 1% of them. We have the technology to change that situation. Therefore, we, the undersigned, call for the following action. Number 1, employ available technology to detect and track near-Earth asteroids that threaten human populations via governments and private and philanthropic organizations. Number 2, a rapid 100-fold acceleration of the discovery and tracking of near-Earth asteroids to 100,000 per year within the next 10 years. Number 3, global adoption of Asteroid Day, heightening awareness of the asteroid hazard and our efforts to prevent impacts on June 30th of 2015. I declare that I share the concerns of this esteemed community of astronauts, scientists, business leaders, artists, and concerned citizens to raise awareness about protecting and preserving life of our planet by preventing future asteroid impacts. Now it says view our signatories. Okay, here we go. Here are signatories of the Asteroid Day Declaration: Bill Nye, Brian May, Kip Thorne, Lord Martin Rees, Richard Dawkins, Carolyn Shoemaker, Chris Hadfield, Brian Cox, Alan Eustace, Dr. Garrick Israelian, Alexei Leonov, Jim Lovell. Okay, you can see the list goes on of all these different people that are signing. Here's an article on the Telegraph titled "Mountain-Sized Asteroid is Heading Towards Earth, Says Scientist." A Russian scientist has discovered a huge asteroid, 2014 UR116, passes Earth every 3 years. This article is from December of 2014. This is a mountain-sized asteroid which crosses paths with the Earth every 3 years, has been discovered by a Russian scientist. Vladimir Lipinov, a professor at Moscow State University, said the space rock named 2014 UR116 poses no immediate threat, but he warned that it could hit the Earth with an explosion 1,000 times greater than the surprise 2013 impact of a bus-sized meteor in Russia. That object entered Earth's atmosphere over the city of Chelyabinsk, resulting in a series of ferocious blasts that blew out windows and damaged buildings for miles around. Professor Lupinov said it is difficult to calculate the orbit of big rocks like 2014 UR116 because their trajectories are constantly being changed by the gravitational pull of other planets. And he warns that its existence proves how little scientists know about other asteroids which could cause harm to the planet. We need to permanently track this asteroid because even a small mistake in calculations could have serious consequences, he said. Of 100,000 near-Earth objects which can cross our planet's orbit and are large enough to be dangerous, only about 11,000 have so far been tracked and cataloged. However, NASA warned that 2014 UR116 did not pass close enough to the Earth to be considered a threat. But, while this approximately 400-meter-sized asteroid has a 3-year orbital period around the Sun, and returns to the Earth's neighborhood periodically, it does not represent a threat because its orbital path does not pass sufficiently close to the Earth's orbit, NASA's Near-Earth Object Program Office said in a statement. Now, NASA said the computer model showed that this asteroid would be an impact threat for at least 150 years. Last week, scientists from across the world came together to warn that asteroids could wipe out humanity unless more effort is made to track and destroy them. Lord Martin Rees, the Astronomer Royal, Brian Cox, and Richard Dawkins are among more than 100 experts calling for the creation of a huge asteroid detection system to prevent a doomsday scenario. And that's the declaration that we just looked at, because this article, as I mentioned, was in late 2014. Okay, so they've come up with something since this article was written. Sometimes these heavenly bodies run into Earth. This is why we must make it our mission to find asteroids before they find us. NASA has done a very good job of finding the very largest objects, the ones that would destroy the human race, said Ed Lu, an astronaut who flew 3 trips to the International Space Station. It's the ones that would destroy a city or hit the economy for a couple of 100 years that are the problem. Now, remember, I read to you what a small one would do and how it could affect everything, even if it just impacted and destroyed the area in which it impacted. It could affect everything on a global level to do with the economy, food prices, and so forth. Okay, so the small ones are extremely dangerous, and the small ones are the ones that they really can't detect as easily until it is too late. So going back to this original article I began with, the headline, why the asteroid threat should be taken seriously. I've given you perspectives from scientists who are secular, from this gentleman here who wrote this article, which is secular, and obviously, from the best of my knowledge from reading this article, I will provide the link in my article I'm doing so you can read it. It is extremely lengthy. It is a researched type of an article, so that's why it's lengthy. You can go read it. I'm sure you don't want me to read you the whole article in this video, but you will see what I'm talking about. Okay, he writes this article, why this threat should be taken seriously. We have Christians. We have people who are getting prophecies, dreams, visions. So we've got every aspect of people warning in some sense about something to do with an asteroid. And we have this asteroid watch program to raise awareness and so forth. Then we have Janet Napolitano basically stating that something is going to happen. Let's just go to that article so you can see. Right here, Janet Napolitano in ABC News warns of a serious cyber attack and an unprecedented natural disaster. It says the outgoing Homeland Security Secretary has a warning for her successor. A massive and serious cyber attack on the U.S. homeland is coming, and a natural disaster, the likes of which the nation has never seen, is also likely on its way. So prepare and bring a large bottle of Advil, Janet Napolitano told her yet-to-be-named replacement in a farewell address Tuesday morning. Many things will need tending, and my successor will most certainly have a full plate on his or her hands, said Napolitano, who leaves her post next week after more than 4 years at the helm of the Department of Homeland Security. So you see there, she warned of a natural disaster and a huge cyber attack, 2 separate incidents. Okay, so with all these things, why is nobody believing and listening? If it goes in accordance with the Bible, then we have every reason to be prayerful about it and to be watchful. We can't just shrug everything off. I understand there's a lot of garbage out there and nonsense that's not real and hype. And it's like the boy that cried wolf. I understand that totally, but we cannot shrug everything off. We have to take some things seriously. We've got Asteroid Day. We've got warnings from all sorts of people, including Janet Napolitano, before she left, of something, a natural disaster. I don't know for sure what type of natural disaster she meant. But we've got all these things going on. So I just wanted to show you, I wanted to give some more detail and do something more extensive on the warning. God is not happy. He has destroyed humanity before when they were overcome with sin through a flood. Now, he gave a rainbow as a promise that he would never flood the entire earth again. Okay, but now, then we had the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah with fire and brimstone. The United States of America is worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. We're in the end times, everybody. We need to take these things seriously. I have people come to my channel and call me an idiot or whatever. That's fine. I don't care. I just want you all to pray. I want you to be watchful and I want you to pray. I don't care what an idiot I look like. I'm telling you what the Bible says, and I'm showing you what the world is saying, and I'm showing you what prophets and Christians are saying too, and it all flows in accordance with end time prophecy, which is happening right here and right now. So let's take this seriously. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. I am banned from commenting for 2 weeks. So I'm not sure why. I was sent a message by Google saying that I was abusing their Google groups, which I was posting my video links and article links in Google groups that I belong to. So I don't know if maybe one of my links went to spam and nobody took it out. I don't know. So I cannot comment back to any of you for up to 2 weeks, just so you know. So share my videos wherever you feel like sharing it, because I can't. In fact, I don't even know if you guys will get notifications on my Google page when I post a video like you usually do. I don't know. So, well, I love you all. God bless you. Let's take this stuff seriously and let's at least pray about it and prepare.